The Exxon Valdez oil spill. In 1968, oil was discovered in Prudhoe Bay, Alaska. Soon after, 7 of the world's largest oil companies joined to form the Alaska Pipeline Service Company with the goal of developing a transportation route from Prudhoe Bay to the west coast of the United States. 5 years later, in 1973, Richard Nixon signed the Trans-Alaska Pipeline Authorization Act, giving Alaska the go-ahead to build an $8 billion oil pipeline from Prudhoe Bay to Valdez. Once constructed, oil pumped from the Prudhoe Bay oil fields flowed through 800 miles of pipeline to Valdez. From there, oil was pumped onto oil tankers and shipped to its final destination. Once in service, flow through the pipeline averaged 75.6 million gallons of oil per day. Taxes related to the pipeline brought in billions of dollars each year for the state of Alaska and the federal government, so the state allowed many of the operational requirements mandated by Congress's approval of the pipeline to lapse. These requirements included adding more oil tanks to the Valdez storage facility, the installation of an incinerator to remove toxic materials, and the extensive use of stainless steels to resist the corrosive environment created by the oil. In addition to these violations, Alaska was permitted to excessively pollute waters off the shore of Valdez, as well as release an estimated 1,000 tons of hydrocarbons into the atmosphere each week. Alaska, along with the state and federal government, created 6 contingency plans for responding to potential oil spills. However, in March of 1988, 1 year before the Exxon Valdez incident, an inventory of response supplies revealed that the company was severely underprepared for a large oil spill. Previously in 1985, the Valdez port commander confidentially communicated to Alaska that serious doubt exists that we would be able to contain and clean up effectively a medium or large size oil spill. On March 22, 1989, the 987-foot Exxon Valdez docked at the Alaska terminal in Valdez, Alaska. Overnight, the crew loaded the ship with 54 million gallons of crude oil. The next morning, without waiting the congressionally mandated 6 hours of off-duty time, the Exxon Valdez set sail for the west coast of the U.S. Heavy ice prevented the ship from taking its standard route through the Prince William Sound, so, in an effort not to lose time, the captain directed the ship through the area with the thinnest ice. At 12:20 a.m. on March 24, 1989, the Exxon Valdez ran aground on Bligh Reef. 23 to 25 million gallons of oil were spilled into Prince William Sound. The oil covered an area of 18 square miles within 15 days of the spill. Within 2 months, the oil traveled over 470 miles, contaminating 1,300 miles of shoreline. Exxon reportedly spent $2.1 billion and over 4 years working to clean up residual oil from the Exxon Valdez spill. Before the spill, in order to save money, Exxon switched from stainless steel to carbon steel. This cheaper alternative led to a greater leak in toxins. Additionally, only single-holed piping was used. Harmful hydrocarbons were being released into the air at a rate of 1,000 tons per week, and Alaska claimed they were not responsible in any way. After the spill of 23 to 25 million gallons of crude oil, such claims were meaningless. Arriving 15 hours late to the incident with insufficient tools to take care of the problem, shorelines became toxic baths, putting animals as well as people at risk. Perhaps some of the oversights and leeway given to Alaska were due to its taxes and dividends, which the government and the Alaskan people enjoyed. With Alaska making $2.4 billion in profit every year, both the state and federal government received a significant amount of taxes. Between the years of 1969 and 1987, Alaska received about $1.5 billion in taxes from Alaska each year, while the federal government received $2 billion each year. This amounts to $27 billion in Alaskan taxes and $36 billion in federal taxes over this 18-year period. Additionally, each Alaskan resident receives a dividend check between $800 and $1,000 each year. With this level of cash flow to the government and residents, an observer may not be surprised to learn that some congressional requirements were neglected, resulting in significant pollution levels even before the oil spill occurred. Due to the oil spill, Exxon was criminally charged for violating laws related to environmental protection, to which they pled guilty, and were forced to pay fines of $150 million and damage claims of $900 million. $125 million of the fines were forgiven, resulting in a total settlement of a little over $1 billion. Additionally, a class action lawsuit was filed against Exxon, to which an Anchorage jury awarded $5 billion to the plaintiffs. However, Exxon appealed for a 10-year delay, to which the courts agreed. After 10 years, Exxon was ordered to pay $4.5 billion in damages, as well as $2.25 billion in interest. There are many conflicts of interest which can be reported in this disaster, especially concerning the taxes and dividends received. However, perhaps a lesser considered conflict concerns the decisions of the officers and crew on the night the Exxon Valdez floundered on the reef. A major factor in the wreck of the ship can be attributed to the exhaustion of the crew. Sacrificing rest and safety to put in more hours may have been a choice made by the staff. Two principles of economics state that people face trade-offs and people respond to incentives. Trading rest in return for a paycheck may have seemed reasonable at the time, but it may have been the cause of the Exxon Valdez oil spill. Soon into the journey, the officers were faced with the unexpected obstacle of ice clogging the shipping lane. Had they been better rested, they may have chosen their route with more care, but unfortunately, their decisions led to a disaster. The clients and customers of Exxon had put their trust in how the company conducted itself. They expected that the company would behave ethically and give priority to public and environmental safety. However, that trust was betrayed in this incident. Alyeska was far underprepared. They became complacent about their safety record and did not prioritize contingencies for a spill, especially one of this magnitude. After the spill, Exxon had a long and expensive road ahead of them. The company had an obligation to their clients to remedy their mistake, cleaning up the oil spill, helping to repair the local fishing industries, and to minimize environmental damage. This was a money-saving venture that cost many fishermen and local seafood restaurants their livelihoods due to the salmon population decline. Both locals and vacationers were confronted with the resulting toxins. Gas prices increased, and animals were unfairly hurt and killed, and their habitats ruined, all for the sake of money. Multiple actions should have been taken to prevent or otherwise assist in the cleanup of the oil spill. There were many mistakes that took place in this process, from the building of the pipeline to shipping off ballast water. On the pipeline side of the matter, we have multiple issues that could have been addressed on the front end. For instance, the builders knew that they should have used the double-hulled tanks for environmental and safety reasons, but decided the cheaper single-walled ones would work fine and save money. Another way they could have prevented environmental impact was with the amount of ballast water they created. They could have used smaller tanks or a better filtration system. On that note, there was the unethical yearly payoff to locals that kept them happy with the smells and filth from the ballast mix. On the ship side of the matter, the whole spill could have been prevented had the crew or their commander done the following: 1. Allowed the crew ample time to sleep, and 2. Not been drinking before operating heavy machinery such as a ship. The charges of drunkenness were dropped when the angle turned to fatigue being the issue. Being tired may affect certain abilities, but being drunk and tired really causes some operational issues. There are many actions that could have been done to better train or prepare the workers for an actual oil spill. They had all of this preparedness training, but it was regarded as a farce, comic opera that was never taken seriously. Had they better prepared for the event of an oil spill, they may have prevented some damage. However, since they obviously needed the extra help, they should have accepted the assistance that was offered from fishermen in cleaning up the oil spill. Ultimately, this is the case of many bad decisions leading to a disaster.